All right, everybody. I am back. I am starting much later than I would usually because my kid had an appointment around the time I would usually start, which was something that we had to set up kind of on the spur. And then I had to shuffle things around so I could get everything done in time. So um, I did my A Night of Seven Kingdoms stream before this. Usually I do this one first. Then I was going to even post this a little bit before this, like around 3, 4, or 5. But it was after 3, I think, when I got my first live stream done. And around 5, we try to go for a walk so that I can at least get some exercise. So I can try to get some of those steps in that I want to get in to try to be a little more healthy. And I knew that it was going to take at least a half hour on my walk, probably more than that. And so, yeah, so I decided to post that I would be on here at 6. And then I go and try to set the live stream up, and it says that my YouTube token had expired and I had to log back into YouTube. So, yeah. Anyway, I am happy to say that I sent my little chat message and it came up the first time. And I think this is the first time I've gotten my first chat message to actually show up on the starting page. So that was good. Earlier today when I was doing A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, it wasn't at first. I did manage to get it going, and then the chats were not making that little chime that they make when they send out. Now I've got that working. So hopefully that is all good. Okay, so today we are going to be reading chapters 11 and 12. Last time I read on, I think it was Sunday. On Sunday, we read chapters 8 through 10 of Glenn and of Fred finished their walk. We got this portion where I swear that I am pretty sure that of Glenn is trying to kind of test the waters with of Fred to see if she is safe to actually start doing less of the regimented stuff and more like letting her in. And there was a couple things which I talked about on the last thing. One of them I talked about at least. No, I talked about 2 things, but there was another thing that I came up with later. So it was her saying Mayday. I am 100% sure that was a test. That was a test to see, like, if she has heard of Mayday, to see how she responds to her using that in a phrase. It's a beautiful May day. And then what was the other thing? Oh yeah, when they get back to the fence and if Glenn stops, she kind of looks back at her. It looks like she's going to say something, but she doesn't. And I think that's like the beginning of her starting to feel like maybe she should check and see if she can actually say something that a Fred is hopefully not going to be a problem and not turn her in or anything. What was the other thing? The other thing I noticed. Oh, hold on, let me think. I'm not able to think of it right now, but hopefully I'll figure it out. Oh, I remember. So part of it, she made this comment about how they always stop at this church, and every day that they're on these walks, that Fred is always the one that says that we should get going, as if there's something keeping her here. Okay, and I think June at that point is thinking she's being mispious, maybe she's praying, maybe she's mourning, whatever, that it's more of a religious thing. But after reading the book and watching the show, we know, those of us that have done that, know that there is more to it than that. That I don't think she is stopping at this church and has trouble leaving the church because of any religious or pious reasons. It is personal, it is deep, and it is intimate. And that's as far as I'll go with that. Okay, now we get back to the house. Fred has done her shopping. She's brought the food, and one of the things they talk about is that Rita wanted her to bring steak, but there was none, so she got chicken. And Rita was not upset about the chicken per se. She did express some frustration that the chicken was so skinny, that it was so like not very plump, and she made the comment that she needs to learn to speak up, that she's not common, as in she's from a non-common household. The commander is very high up, and she looks her straight in the eyes, and Fred says that is the first time she has ever looked her straight in the eye. So, a big step there, in my opinion. Anyway, and we also get to a part where she's waiting in her room, and she talks about going through the room when she first got there, and that the third day after she got there, she had already split the room into several parts in her head, and she was investigating each part a little bit at a time, in very, very, very slowly and in great detail. And I won't go any further than that. I think that's enough of a refresher. Now we're going to continue on in this part 4, which is the waiting room. And we're going to continue on further, I think, with her bath and stuff like that. Oh yeah, we're also getting to her crazy ass clinic visit. I think that is the next chapter, the chapter that we're getting ready to read. That clinic visit, to me, is very disturbing, and I would hope it's disturbing to you also. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with this. To do something real quick because that shouldn't have just started up that fast. I'm just making sure it was the right chapter. So that is the clinic visit, and that was the doctor that she's going to see in her clinic visit. Okay, let's go back to reading. All right, and we're going to go to page 60. That is where chapter 11 begins. All right. Yesterday morning I went to the doctor. Was taken by a guardian, one of those with red armbands who are in charge of such things. We rode in a red car, him in the front, me in the back. No twin went with me. On these occasions, I'm solitaire. I'm taken to the doctor's once a month for tests, urine, hormones, cancer smear, blood tests. The same as before, except now it's obligatory. The doctor's office is in a modern office building. We ride up in the elevator. Silently, the guardian facing me. In the black mirror wall of the elevator, I can see the back of his head. At the office itself, I go in. He waits outside in the hall with the other guardians, on one of the chairs placed there for that purpose. Inside the waiting room, there are other women, 3 of them, in red. This doctor is a specialist. Covertly, we regard each other, sizing up each other's bellies. Is anyone lucky? The nurse records our names and the numbers of our passes on the compudoc to see if we are who we are supposed to be. He's 6 feet tall and 40, a diagonal scar across his cheek. He sits typing, his hands too big for the keyboard. That's a call I don't need to answer.
Call from Charlotte FL.
Okay. Where did I leave off? I'll wait for this to stop ringing, but
Charlotte FL. Call from Charlotte FL. Call from
and
Charlotte
I'm
FL.
sorry it's so close to the microphone.
Call from
I had a call from my
FL.
mother right while the 5-minute timer was going, so all right. He sits typing, his hands too big for the keyboard, still wearing his pistol on the shoulder holster. Okay. When I'm called, I go through the doorway into the inner room. It's white, featureless, like the outer one, except for a folding screen. Red cloth stretched on a frame, a gold eye painted on it, with a snake-twined sword upright beneath it, like a sort of handle. The snakes and the sword are bits of broken symbolism left over from the time before. After I've filled the small bottle left ready for me in the little washroom, I take off my clothes behind the screen and leave them folded on the chair. When I'm naked, I lie down on the examining table, on the sheet of chilly, crackling, disposable paper. I pull the second sheet, the cloth one, up over my body. I also put all the most of the sounds back on here. I think I turned the Windows theme sounds off, although I might have put them back on. But anyway, yeah, I think I did put them back on. I think I've got things working. There are still a lot of sounds that I made on there, but I tried to make them a lot more inconspicuous so they're not so annoying to me, and hopefully won't be so annoying to you. At neck level, there's another sheet suspended from the ceiling. It intersects me so that the doctor will never see my face. He deals with a torso only. When I'm arranged, I reach my hand out, fumble for the small lever at the right side of the table, pull it back. Somewhere else, a bell rings, unheard by me. After a minute, the door opens. Footsteps come in. There is breathing. He isn't supposed to speak to me except when it's absolutely necessary. But this doctor is talkative. So this is something that happens repeatedly in this. Like, these people are not supposed to be talking to them. They're not supposed to be engaging in certain situations, stuff like that. And even though in normal times we would think of all of this as completely innocent and nothing wrong with it at all, in the situation that they're in, it's not allowed. And it puts them both in a position of danger. But it puts the handmaids in even more danger than these guardians and doctors and stuff like that, because they're going to take the men's word for it before they're going to take the woman's word for it. And because it's not fucking allowed, like, they can get in serious trouble. So every time somebody is talking to her when they are not supposed to be talking to her, they're up by her room when they're not supposed to be up by her room, they're in her room when they're not supposed to be in her room. All of these things, like, put her on guard. They make her feel nervous because you are out of step. You are out of line. You are doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. And that puts me in a position where I'm doing something that I'm not supposed to be doing. You get what I mean? Which can be very freaking nerve-wracking for somebody's basically being held prisoner and is required to do all these things and knows that they could be killed for any number of things, for stepping out of line or for being caught out of line, even if they weren't the ones that put themselves there. I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because this has already happened with Fred being up by her room, now with this, and it's going to happen again. It happened with Nick. Like she said, Nick's not supposed to talk to her, but he's been talking to her. And there's going to be other shit with Fred, which if you've read the books or you've watched the show, you know about that. But if not, it's coming. And this stuff, like I said, on its face, for somebody like us, where we're used to a certain amount of freedom, this doesn't seem like that big a deal. But when you consider the position that she's in and the reality of what these rules are and what the regime will do to her, and what people within the regime might do to her if they find out that she has been out of line, out of step, that stuff is freaking nerve-wracking. All right, so she says that the doctor is fairly talkative today. How are we getting along, he says. Some tick of speech from the other time. The sheet is lifted from my skin. A draft pimples me. A cold finger, rubber-clad and jellied, slides into me, and I am poked and prodded. The finger retreats, enters otherwise, withdraws. Nothing wrong with you, the doctor says, as if to himself. Any pain, honey? He calls me honey. No, I say. My breasts are fingered in their turn, a search for ripeness, rot. The breathing comes nearer. I smell old smoke, aftershave, tobacco dust on hair. Then the voice, very soft, close to my head. That's him, bulging the sheet. I could help you, he says, whispers. What? I say. Shh, he says. I could help you. I've helped others. Help me, I say, my voice as low as his. How? Does he know something? Has he seen Luke? Has he found? Can he bring back? How do you think, he says, still barely breathing it. Is that his hand sliding up my leg? He's taken off the glove. The door's locked. No one will come in. They'll never know it isn't his. So you see what he's asking, what he's saying? He can help her. The door's locked. No one will know that it isn't his. He can help her. And he's already sliding his fucking ungloved hand up her leg. He lifts the sheet. The lower part of his face is covered by the white gauze mask. Regulation. 2 brown eyes, a nose, a head with brown hair on it. His hand is between my legs. Most of those old guys can't make it anymore, he says, or they're sterile. I almost gasped. He's said a forbidden word, sterile. There's no such thing as a sterile man anymore, not officially. There are only women who are fruitful and women who are barren. That's the law. The law. Lots of women do it, he goes on. You want a baby, don't you? Yes, I say. It's true. I don't ask why because I know. Give me children or else I die. There's more than one meaning to it. You're soft, he says. It's time. Today or tomorrow would do it. Why waste it? I'd only take a minute, honey. What he called his wife once maybe still does, but really it's a generic term. We are all honey. I hesitate. He's offering himself to me, his services, at some risk to himself. So that phrase in that previous paragraph, we are all honey, that makes me like, a lot of people think of terms of endearment like this as completely innocent and fine. But if you think about it that way, we are all honey. Like, we use terms like that in that way, or at least we have in the past. And some people have started to become offended by it. But then other people are offended that we are offended by it. But if you think of it in that way, it is being used as a term to say we're all honey. Well, why are we all honey to these people? To whoever these people are that are calling us honey. I think, and especially in this context, we are all honey. Not appealing, not to me. I hate to see what they put you through, he murmurs. It's genuine sympathy. And yet he's enjoying this, sympathy and all. His eyes are moist with compassion. His hand is moving on me, nervously and with impatience. It's too dangerous, I say. No, I can't. The penalty is death, but they have to catch you in the act with 2 witnesses. What are the odds? Is the room bugged? Who's waiting just outside the door? And questions like that, like the room doesn't have to be bugged. Anybody could fucking hear you. Anybody could get a glimpse of what's going on. Anybody could make any kind of freaking accusation they wanted. You don't know what's going to happen. And if they think they've corroborated these claims, they can just fucking put you away. They can just lock you up. They can just kill you, whatever, without any real trial. So, yeah. Bugs indeed. All right. His hand stops. Think about it, he says. I've seen your chart. You don't have a lot of time left, but it's your life. Thank you, I say. I must leave the impression that I'm not offended, that I'm open to suggestion. He takes his hand away, lazily almost. Lingeringly, this is not the last word as far as he's concerned. He could fake the tests, report me for cancer, for infertility, have me shipped off to the colonies with the unwoman. None of this has been said, but the knowledge of his power hangs nevertheless in the air as he pats my thigh, withdraws himself behind the hanging sheet. Next month, he says. I put on my clothes again, behind the screen. My hands are shaking. Why am I frightened? I've crossed no boundaries. I've given no trust, taken no risk. All is safe. It's the choice that terrifies me. A way out? A salvation? Oh, chapter 12. All right, let's do our little thingy here. Do, 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 do. Okay. So, June, Fred is in the bath. Chapter 12. The bathroom is beside the bedroom. It's papered in small blue flowers, forget-me-nots, with curtains to match. There's a blue bath mat, a blue fake fur cover on the toilet seat, All this bathroom lacks from the time before is a doll whose skirt conceals the extra roll of toilet paper. Except that the mirror over the sink has been taken out, and replaced by an oblong of tin. And the door has no lock, and there are no razors, of course. There were incidents in bathrooms at first. There were cuttings, drownings, before they got all of the bugs ironed out. Cora sits on a chair outside in the hall to see that no one else goes in. In a bathroom, in a bathtub. You are vulnerable, said Aunt Lydia. She didn't say to what. The bath is a requirement, but it is also a luxury. Merely to lift off the heavy white wings and the veil, merely to feel my own hair again with my hands is a luxury. Merely to feel my own hair again with my hands is a luxury. My hair is long now, untrimmed. Hair must be long but covered, Aunt Lydia said. St. Paul said it's either that or a close shave. She laughed, that held back neighing of hers as if she'd told a joke. Cora has run the bath. It steams like a bowl of soup. I take off the rest of my clothes, the overdress, the white shift and petticoat, the red stockings, the loose cotton pantaloons. Pantyhose gives you crotch rot, Moira used to say. Aunt Lydia would never have used an expression like crotch rot. Unhygienic was hers. She wanted everything to be hygienic. My nakedness is strange to me already. My body seems outdated. Did I really wear bathing suits at the beach? I did, without thought, among men, without caring that my legs, my arms, my thighs and back were on display, could be seen. Shameful, immodest. I avoid looking down at my body, not so much because it's shameful or immodest, but because I don't want to see it. I don't want to look at something that determines me so completely. I step into the water, lie down, and let it hold me. The water is soft as hands. Well, that didn't work, did it? I close my eyes, and she's there with me, suddenly, without warning. It must be the smell of the soap. I put my face against the soft hair at the back of her neck and breathe her in. Baby powder and child's washed flesh and shampoo with an undertone. The faint scent of urine. This is the age she is when I'm in the bath. She comes back to me at different ages. This is how I know she's not really a ghost. If she were a ghost, she would always be the same age. Always. One day, when she was 11 months old, just before she began to walk, a woman stole her out of a supermarket cart. It was a Saturday, which was when Luke and I did the week's shopping, because both of us had jobs. She was sitting in the little baby seats they had then, in supermarket carts, with holes for the legs. She was happy enough, and I'd turned my back, the cat food section I think it was. Luke was over at the side of the store, out of sight, at the meat counter. He liked to choose what kind of meat we were going to eat during the week. He said men needed more meat than women did, and that it wasn't a superstition, and he wasn't being a jerk. Studies had been done. There are some differences, he said. He was fond of saying that, as if I was trying to prove there weren't. But mostly, he said it when my mother was there. He liked to tease her. I heard her start to cry. I turn around and she was disappearing down the aisle in the arms of a woman I'd never seen before. I screamed and the woman was stopped. She must have been about 35. She was crying and saying it was her baby. The Lord had given it to her. He'd sent her a sign. I felt sorry for her. The store manager apologized and they held her until the police came. She's just crazy, Luke said. I thought it was an isolated incident at the time. Okay, so this scenario is kind of a culmination of couple scenarios in the show. There is one scenario when the baby is first born in the NICU, or not the NICU, just maybe it is the NICU. It's wherever they put the babies when they're first born, when they have them all together. And in the show, a person tries to take the baby out of the hospital. They are caught. Like, the whole place is on alert. The lady that had taken the baby I think she killed the nurse that was minding the babies. It was bad. It was crazy, and they did catch her. They did get the baby back to June, and that was early on in this thing. That was before things got really, really out of hand, before Gilead had taken over. But there were already signs in place. Stuff was already happening. The other thing was not a kidnapping. So, like in this scenario, they're in a grocery store. She turns her back and some lady takes off with the kid. And she's freaking out. In the scenario on the show, which happens much later in the show, they show a flashback from when her kid was a little bit older, 4 or 5 or something like that. And they are at like a festival or something like that with Ferris wheels and stuff like that. And she's getting tickets. And as she's getting tickets, her kid kind of walks away. And she has this big scare trying to find her because she walked away and was out of range and couldn't hear her or whatever, but she finally caught up with her and found her. But yeah. So I think they took those two scenarios and kind of took little bits and pieces from this story to create them. She fades. I can't keep her with me. She's gone now. Maybe I do think of her as a ghost. The ghost of a dead girl. A little girl who died when she was 5. I remember the pictures of us I had once. Me holding her, standard poses, mother, baby, locked in a frame for safety. Behind my closed eyes, I can see myself as I am now, sitting beside an open drawer or a trunk in the cellar where the baby clothes are folded away, a lock of hair, cut when she was 2, in an envelope, white blonde. It got darker later. So in the show, her daughter and her husband are brown. On the book, blonde with hair that gets darker later. I have several people in my family born with very, very blonde hair, and it does darken later. My hair was a little weird. When I was born, it was like some of it was blonde and some of it was really, really dark. At least I think that's what it was. And my oldest kid, was born with blonde hair and dark, like the ends were dark. So the roots were blonde, the ends were dark. But then the dark ends ended up going away and just lightened up, which is usual because most of my family, it goes the other way. You start out blonde and then it starts to darken as you get older. Not to a point where it's not blonde, more like it's a dirty dishwater blonde or a really light brown, something like that. But yeah, when I was first born, it was a little strange, but most of my life I had blonde hair, and then it started to darken as I got older, but it also started to get like streaks in it. This is obviously not my natural hair color, but this stuff up here is natural, and it does have some grays and whites in it, but whatever. Anyway, I don't have those things anymore. The clothes and hair. I wonder what happened to all our things. Looted, dumped out, carried away, confiscated. I've learned to do without a lot of things. If you have a lot of things, said Aunt Lydia, you get too attached to this material world and you forget about spiritual values. You must cultivate poverty of spirit. Blessed are the meek. She didn't go on to say anything about inheriting the earth. I lie, lapped by the water, beside an open drawer that does not exist, and think about a girl who did not die when she was 5, who still does exist. I hope, though not for me. Do I exist for her? Am I a picture somewhere, in the dark at the back of her mind? They must have told her I was dead. That's what they would think of doing. They would say it would be easier for her to adjust. 8 she must be now. I filled in the time I lost. I know how much there's been. They were right. It's easier to think of her as dead. I don't have to hope then, or make a wasted effort. Why bash your head, said Aunt Lydia, against a wall. Sometimes she had a graphic way of putting things. I ain't got all day, says Cora's voice outside the door. It's true, she hasn't. She hasn't got all of anything. I must not deprive her of her time. I soap myself, use the scrub brush and the piece of pumice for sanding off dead skin. Such Puritan aids are supplied. I wish to be totally clean, germless, without bacteria, like the surface of the moon. I will not be able to wash myself this evening, not afterwards, not for a day. It interferes, they say, and why take chances? I cannot avoid seeing, now, the small tattoo on my ankle. 4 digits, an I, a passport in reverse. It's supposed to guarantee that I will never be able to fade, finally, into another landscape. I am too important, too scarce for that. I am a national resource. So they have these cattle prods in their ears, and in the story they have a tattoo on their ankle to identify them. And that's something in the show that we kind of go on and on about. Like, there's all these times that she almost escapes, and they're supposed to have these things in place to identify them and to be able to kind of keep tabs on them. And she's like, at that point, one of the most wanted people in Gilead, and nothing, like, and she keeps that freaking cattle prod on. Like, there's one time she removes it, and after that, she never takes it off again. So, anyway. I pull the plug, dry myself, put on my red terry cloth robe. I leave today's dress here, where Cora will pick it up to be washed. Back in the room, I dress again. The white headdress isn't necessary for the evening, because I won't be going out. Everyone in this house knows what my face looks like. The red veil goes on, though, covering my damp hair, my head, which has not been shaved. Where did I see that film about the woman kneeling in the town square, hands holding them, their hair falling in clumps? What had they done? It must have been a long time ago, because I can't remember. Cora brings me supper covered on a tray. She knocks at the door before entering. I like her for that. It means she thinks I have some of what we used to call privacy left. Thank you, I say, taking the tray from her, and she actually smiles at me, but she turns away without answering. When we're alone together, she's shy of me. I put the tray on the small white painted table and draw the chair up to it. I take the cover off the tray, the thigh of a chicken, overcooked. It's better than bloody, which is the other way she does it. Rita has a way of making her resentment felt. A baked potato, green beans, salad, canned pears for dessert. It's good enough food, though bland. Healthy food. You have to get your vitamins and minerals, said Aunt Lydia coyly. You must be a worthy vessel. No coffee or tea, though. No alcohol. Studies have been done. There's a paper napkin as in cafeteria. So there's a lot of this like comment about studies have been done. They use this a lot in Gilead to claim that what they're doing is good. But she also comments on it that sometimes Luke will talk to her and say and make that comment. Studies have been done about various things. I think of the others, those without. This is the heartland here. I'm leading a pampered life. May the Lord make us truly grateful, said Aunt Lydia. Or was it thankful? And I start to eat the food. I'm not hungry tonight. I feel sick to my stomach. But there's no place to put the food, no potted plants, and I won't chance the toilet. I'm too nervous, that's what it is. Could I leave it on the plate? Ask Cora not to report me. I chew and swallow, feeling the sweat come out. In my stomach, the food balls itself together, a handful of damp cardboard squeezed. Downstairs in the dining room, there will be candles on the large mahogany table, a white cloth, silver, flowers, wine glasses with wine in them. There will be a click of knives against china, a clink as she sets down her fork with a barely audible sigh, leaving half the contents of her plate untouched. Possibly she will say she has no appetite. Possibly she won't say anything. If she says something, does he comment? If she doesn't say anything, does he notice? I wonder how she manages to get herself noticed. I think it must be hard. There's a pat of butter on the side of the plate. I tear off a corner of the paper napkin, wrap the butter in it, to take to the cupboard and slip it into the toe of my right shoe, from the extra pair as I have done before. I crumpled up the rest of the napkin. No one, surely, will bother to smooth it out, to check if anything is missing. I will use the butter later tonight. It would not do this evening to smell of butter. I wait. I compose myself. Myself is a thing I must now compose, as one composes a speech. What I must present is a made thing, not something born. And that is the end of chapter 12. Next part is coming up on Sunday. sometime this weekend. Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I've been doing it on Saturday and Sunday, I think. Mostly, it probably will be Saturday or Sunday. So we'll start part 5, nap. And we'll start with chapter 13. I don't know how many chapters. I usually figure out how many chapters I'm going to do after the live stream is done. And then I'll figure out. I think last time I figured out for the next 2 live streams. But sometimes I just figure out how many I'm going to do for the next live stream. So anyway, I will see you this weekend if you want to join me. More live reading and occasional comments every now and then when I have something going on up here that I'm thinking about that goes along with whatever's on my mind or things that I've read or watched on the TV show. So anyway, that's all I got for you. See you when I see you.